from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
There we are.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I was like, why? Was still the logo up.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:01. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
So were we having some technical stuff going on back there?
Yeah, it was last minute this morning. I was just a little crazy getting started.
Little, groggy this morning.
Discombobulated.
It's going to be a beautiful day out today.
Yeah, it's
I think
nice
we're finally
out.
done with the rain and drizzle, which only seemed to appear at exactly 11 o'clock over the last 2 days when we were serving. Yesterday, we're thinking, okay, we're going to get a sprinkler or two here or there. We're out there at 11 o'clock, and again, like 5 after 11, it's like, Mary Lou, it's raining. It's not like drizzling. It's not like it's raining. So here we were. And of course, by yesterday afternoon, the sun was out. So lovely day. But it's supposed to be nice today. It's already 51, I think, out there.
Yeah, I didn't even wear a sweatshirt today. I'm like, I want to milk this for all it's worth.
It is. I know it's beautiful. Thank you to all the, utility gods that are, raining down upon us. I just give every day that I don't have to turn on anything, no heat, no air conditioning, no anything. It's like, thank you, dear Lord, thank you.
Yeah, it's expensive
we know those bills are gonna really, just going to really climb. So, Pete, did you have a nice weekend? Were you at Mount Holyoke, or what did you do this weekend?
Yes, I was at Mount Holyoke this weekend, and then just kind of running around a little bit.
Catching up.
Yeah, because Monday I had adventures in flying to Baltimore, and it became a thing, and I'm helping a Southwest worker try to figure out why the computer is gone from the podium, the gate we're supposed to check in at. Little things like that.
Pete, you crack me up.
Well, poor guy's struggling.
Yeah.
He's a supervisor. He's not an IT guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, can I help you troubleshoot that? I do this for a living. And he's like, yes, please.
Oh, my gosh, please help me.
So we determined that somebody in IT removed the computer that they check in people with, didn't tell anybody, didn't put a replacement in like they're supposed to, and didn't shut down the gate.
Ah.
So you have a perfectly good plane there that's ready to go, and you have no way of checking people in.
You can't check in. Oh, no.
So we literally checked people, and finally I came up. I says, that gate down there, that's not being used. Why don't we check people in down there and have them walk back and have 2 agents, one at each spot, so they can see the ticket being scanned.
Yep.
That's what we did.
Oh, my Pete, you crack me up. Now, was this what
I wanted to come home. Our pilots were delayed, so that was a delay. And now we're 2 hours after we're supposed to be taking off.
Oh, dear.
My mom is waiting for me at Bradley because she's flying in as well. I'm her ride home,
Oh, dear.
and I'm late.
Now, where were you? You were coming home from Baltimore. Would you go? Was that for a flight? Did you go?
I
down
just
there
did a round trip.
Oh,
I went
okay.
down to do some emails and lunch because that's qualifying for the companion pass thing.
Gotcha.
My $77 round trip.
Got it. Okay. Now, when was it? Was that on Saturday or Sunday?
So that was yesterday.
Oh, that was
Oh,
yesterday.
no, Monday.
Okay.
Monday. Because it's like, all right, well, I also need to use vacation time. So
Yep.
I've been told to use it. So I'm like, well, I'll just fly down for the day, get lunch.
Oh, my gosh. You cracked me up.
I got a couple of things done. I kind of figured out. I got to talk to you about scheduling because I
Okay.
probably won't be here the week of the 14th.
Of November?
Yes.
Oh, and I have a big show that
So
week.
can we tape something next week?
Yeah, I have both Akinyele and Jen Jafune on, I believe, that week. I have to check, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay, we may
So
have
I'll
to tape,
check.
may
Okay.
have to tape
All right,
something
we'll-
before
We'll check all that out.
because
all
we're leaving.
doable.
We're leaving this weekend. So here's the deal.
Okay.
We got approved for Virginia press
Okay.
credentials,
Great.
and for the first time ever, they're letting me bring my vehicle on base as a
Wow.
news vehicle. So that's huge, right? For me, because
Yeah.
I've been trying for that for a long time. So after I get that negotiation finished, we're all set to go. There's going to be somebody meeting us early, so we have time to set up. Kenny and I get an email from NASA Kennedy Space Center saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, you still want to come? Everybody's backing out because the launch is now just after midnight
Oh.
on the 14th, so Sunday into Monday." And everybody backed out because now you're not going to cover it live on the national media type thing. The cable news networks may cover it, but
Mhm.
everybody backed out. So now, do you also go to a historic launch? Like this is the comparable to the first launch of a Saturn V.
Mhm.
So the answer is yes.
Mhm. Okay.
But we have stuff to do on Veterans Day. So
Oh, right.
So we're gonna
Veterans
do-
Day's on a Friday.
right. So we're
Okay.
gonna Veterans Day, and then we're gonna literally hit the road and drive as much as we can and find a hotel for a couple hours, get some sleep, get a shower, get back on the road because we have to be down there on Saturday to get our credentials, and then Sunday, like around 6:00, we're gonna go back and set up because the launch is just after midnight.
Now, where's this launching out of?
Kennedy Space Center launch the same pad as Saturn V launched from. So
Okay.
there's two pads in Complex 39. Pad A is now being leased by SpaceX. That's where they launch their stuff from.
Yeah.
Pad B's been empty for a long time. It's been empty since the shuttle era.
Okay.
So it's way before the end of the shuttle era, since like 2005 maybe, 2006.
Okay.
And that pad's been they demolished it, made it a clean pad so they can roll up whatever they want. So currently that's where the launch mount is for Artemis.
Okay.
So that'll be a historic launch we're covering as well, and it's it's one of those things where you really kind of have, if you
Yep.
have the opportunity, you can't say no.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, I totally understand that.
So 2 weekends in a row, Kenny and I are going to be on the road. Once to Virginia and once to Florida.
Well,
We have to
that's
come
what
back
I was.
in
Okay,
between.
that's where I was all messed up because
Yeah.
I was like, I thought this was a Virginia thing. Okay, this
is.
is a whole.
It is both. It's both.
Okay.
So the weekend of the 4th, we're in Virginia to
Yeah.
cover that launch, which is Sunday morning at 5:50 a.m. We'll drive back on Monday.
So that's this coming weekend.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll come back on Monday, be here for the week,
Okay.
and then because we have
That's
obligations on the 11th that we can't get
right.
out of.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because he's got to shoot stuff at Southwick, I got to shoot stuff in Westfield.
Right,
I've hired
right.
Emily to shoot something else in Westfield. So we're going to leave as soon as that's completed, but then we have like a 24-hour drive to Florida.
Okay. All right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But exciting. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really exciting that
Like, you
you
can't-
have this opportunity.
Right, you can't pass it up.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Okay.
It would be busy little buggers.
You are going to be busy. Okay. So since we last were on the show, because we always usually talk about like what did we do in between.
Oh, and I did post that that event you gave me. That's been posted.
You know what, Pete? I have no idea how that came out. I have to tell you. So what we're talking about is last week we did our 7-year Itch anniversary party, which by all reviews was probably one of the best parties we've ever thrown. I don't know
looked fun.
whether it was just that people were so excited to be back inside and having parties, Irv Lewis has a new partner. Irv used to be part of Center Stage. It was Irv Lewis and Laura Pixley on keyboards. Laura Pixley moved down to Florida during the pandemic, so they're no longer a pair, a duet. And so Irv is working now with Leslie Anderson, who is phenomenal. He is somehow associated with Little Anthony and the Imperials. He talked about that a little bit during the show. But anyway, he was fabulous. And the way they did it was Leslie Anderson kind of was the warm-up act for Irv, as he said, although, trust me, this man
like
was...
a cabaret thing.
Oh, my gosh. Both of them ended up coming out into the audience. I had a hard time... When I set up the camera initially, Pete, I had a hard time picking a spot because I didn't want the seniors to trip over it. So I had to wait till everybody got seated.
And it's not really super obtrusive. It's kind of small. So.
No, it is. It is small, and that's the problem. It's like you don't really notice it's there. And with it was more the tripod. I didn't want anybody to accidentally catch a foot or a cane or whatever on the tripod. So, and then the guys started, of course I knew they were going to come out into the audience, and I'm trying to do like 3 things at once, and I was taking pictures, and so I did take a lot of pictures. Though hopefully those will be in the Westfield News within the next couple of days. I know Leslie Lambert put them up on the Friends of the Westfield Senior Center Facebook page. So they're up there. We'll have some, over at the Senior Center on our screen there, but it was just so much fun. I mean, everybody was singing. People were dancing. People were asking, everybody who left, make sure, are they coming back? You've got to get them back. They were just fabulous. We will get them back. Probably in the spring. I like to, it was funny because Irv said to me, that was the fastest hour ever. He said, I couldn't believe that all of a sudden it was noon. And, people wanted more. And I said, well, that's the way you want to leave it. You always want to leave them wanting more, right? So They did a great job. So Leslie did the first half, Irv did the second half, and then they did the last 2 numbers together. And the feedback from the audience is that they wished that they had done more together. And I think that will happen, in upcoming performances. But they're still getting used to working with each other. And of course, so the easiest thing to do is, you do yours, I do mine. Yeah. But now they're. But what was really fun for us was Leslie brought a whole new repertoire of songs, which was really pretty cool. What are we watching here, Pete?
I don't know. It just went to a commercial.
Oh, okay. There you go. So a little commercial break there. All right. Well, let's do a birthday before we take our first break. Today is November 2nd, so it is the birthday of the late Daniel Boone, frontiersman and explorer. He was born on this date in 1734 in Reading, Pennsylvania. And, surprisingly, he lived to be 85 years old. That was a big deal back in, the 1700s.
That's ancient, yes.
Yeah, people didn't live that long. So that's pretty amazing. He died September 26, 1820. As a child, Daniel Boone received little formal education. He learned how to read and write from his mother, and his father taught him wilderness survival skills. Boone was given his first rifle when he was just 12 years old. He quickly proved himself a talented woodsman and hunter, shooting his first bear when most children his age were far too frightened. At age 15, Daniel Boone moved with his family to North Carolina, where he started his own hunting business. In 1755, Boone left home on a military expedition that was part of the French and Indian War. 14 years later, he led an expedition with John Finley, a teamster Boone had marched with during the French and Indian War, and 4 other men. Under Boone's leadership, the team of explorers discovered a trail to the far west through the Cumberland Gap. The trail would become the means by which settlers would access the frontier. Boone directed colonists to an area in Kentucky he named Boonesboro, where he set up a fort to claim the settlement from the Indians. That same year, he brought his own family west to live on the settlement and became its leader. Regardless of the folklore surrounding his figure, Daniel Boone indeed existed and is still remembered as one of the greatest woodsmen in American history. So happy birthday to the late Daniel Boone. Pretty amazing story. Let's do one more birthday before we take a break, because this one's pretty interesting too. It is the birthday of the late Earl Speedo, that was his nickname, Speedo Carroll. He was a singer born on this day in 1937 in New York City. He died November 25th, 2012, at the age of 75. Earl Speedo Carroll was one of the most colorful and beloved singers of New York-style vocal harmony in the 1950s. Carroll was known in the music world for more than 5 decades as one of the lead singers of the group The Cadillacs. Their 1950s hits included Gloria, You Are, Wishing Well, My Girlfriend, and Peekaboo. Perhaps the group's best-known song, however, was Speedo, which was inspired by Carroll's nickname and on which he sang lead. Carroll explained in a 1994 interview that he got the name because I always like to take my time to do things at my own pace. Since I was a kid, the other guys would be telling me, "Come on, hurry up, Speedy." The Speedo persona followed him for the rest of his career, and he enhanced it with an oversized stage presence. The Cadillacs themselves had a rotation of lead singers that made them one of the most versatile vocal groups of the 1950s. Their repertoire ranged from harmony ballads to up-tempo novelty-style songs in the same vein as the group The Coasters. The Cadillacs soon set themselves apart as one of the first groups to wear flashy stage uniforms and put on a dance performance as well as a vocal show. They hired Charlie Atkins of the dance team Coles and Atkins to work up their choreography, and numerous other groups tried to imitate them. In 1982, Earl Speedo Carroll took a day job as a school custodian. He became a famous figure in the school, inspiring a book called That's Our Custodian by Anne Morris. Because of his job, the Cadillacs mostly performed on weekends, and Carroll said it was fun to watch the reaction of students who knew him as the guy with the mop in the daytime and the star on stage at night. He retired from the school in 2005 and continued to sing with the Cadillacs until his health forced him to quit. Back in New York in the 1950s, recalled singer Dion a few years ago, one of the tests for any street corner vocal group was whether you could sing Gloria. If you could, you had a chance. So happy birthday to the late Earl Speedo Carroll, and of course we'll listen to a little of his music a little later on. It is 6:16. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC cable channel 15. So in honor of the birthday of Daniel Boone, we're going to listen to Fess Parker singing The Ballad of Daniel Boone. We'll be back.
Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a man.
Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, with an eye like an eagle and as tall as a mountain was he. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man. He was brave, he was fearless, and as tough as a mighty oak tree. From the coonskin cap on the top of old Dan to the heel of his rawhide shoe, the rippin'est, roarin'est, fightin'est man the frontier ever knew. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, and he fought for America to make all America free.
All Americans free.
What a boon, what a doer, what a dream come a truer was he. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, with a hoop and a holler he could mow down a forest of trees. With a knife and a gun he never did fail, there was nothing he could not tame. He blazed a big wide liberty trail through history's hall of fame. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, with a dream of a country that would always forever be free.
Forever be free.
What a boon, what a doer, what a dream come a truer was he. What a boon, what a doer, what a dream come a truer was he. Daniel Boone was a man.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at betsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday. Every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:19. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So, Pete, were you aware, because I was not until yesterday at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, were you aware that Governor Baker is coming to Westfield today?
No.
Okay. Well,
For what?
well, Governor Baker is coming to Westfield today, and I found out about it late yesterday afternoon because Tim Rook from Westfield State University called me at the suggestion of the mayor to let me know that the governor will be at Scanlon Hall this afternoon from 4 to 5 p.m. He's actually going to, he wrote a book. And I can't, it's called Results, but I can't remember what the name of the rest of the name. It's one of those long names, with
Okay.
a colon and, whatever. But anyway, and I forgot to make a photocopy of that because I was busy trying to make copies to get them out at the senior center. So he wrote this book. He's going to be discussing his book. It basically, I think it's how
Results,
to get,
getting beyond politics to get important work done.
Thank you. That's the name. I was going to say, basically, it's like putting the politics aside and like actually trying to do your job as a legislator.
Jeez, somebody should give that to Congress.
Do you think? So anyway, he will be at Westfield State this afternoon from 4 to 5. He's going to be discussing the book. He'll do a book signing. It is open to the public, and the mayor had Tim Rook from Westfield State contact me because he thought some of the seniors might be interested. We put out a blast to our Novel Ideas book group because we thought they might be super interested. But if you're, and I asked him, I said, do people need to contact the school? And he said, nope, just they can, just tell them to come on over. So it's at Scanlon Hall. It's from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock this afternoon. I would love to get over there. I would love to meet Charlie Baker in person, and I'd really love to listen to. I'd actually like to read the book now that I know about it.
It looks like he co-wrote it with his former chief of staff, Steve Kadish, who was a Democrat.
Right. Yeah. So should be, really interesting. So hey, if you have an hour, skip on over to Westfield State and, leave yourself plenty of time because we all know Western Avenue's all torn up. But
Yes.
now, other doings today that are important. We've been talking about this I feel like I've been talking about this for Jay Vinsky for like ever. Today, finally, is the Public Visioning Workshop. It's tonight. This is on Westfield's master plan. So, basically every zillion years, cities and towns have to come up with a master plan. What do you want to see happen? This is the community in which you live and work. So this is it. And it's been a long time since they've done a master plan. I can't remember how long now, but it's been a while. So tonight from 6 to 8. So you can go see, you can listen to Governor Baker, run home, grab a sandwich or something, and then head on over to Westfield Middle School, which is 30 West Silver Street. It's the old South Middle School right over by the post office from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a public visioning workshop. Now, if you haven't taken the master plan survey, you can either take it online or I have paper and pencil copies at the Senior Center in the Fireside Lounge. I think we still have some left down there. 10 minutes, 10 questions, 10 minutes. That's what they say. It'll take you 10 minutes to do this survey. It's not a long drawn out thing. The paper, this is it. This is the paper and pencil one. It's, 2 pages front and back, easy. And it's just check. So really easy to do this. But Pete and I have talked about this since we've been doing the radio together and cable TV together. Don't complain down the road if you haven't voiced your opinion during the process. This is the process, folks.
You got to be in on the ground floor, otherwise it doesn't make a difference.
Exactly, because you know what happens?
Can't get at the end.
5 years from now, people are going to be saying, "Wow, why didn't they do this? Whose stupid idea was it?" Well, it was the idea of the people who came and actually participated.
Right.
So if you have strong
and if
feelings,
only 10 people participate, guess what? It's not going to be your idea.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let
so
me be
this
brutally
is,
honest.
That's exactly it. And it's so, it's frustrating for those of us in any kind of a leadership position, whether it's a department head or whether it's, the mayor or the city council or any of the committees, it's frustrating for us when people come back and say, well, why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? Well, because when we had the forums and we had opportunities for people to make their suggestions, they didn't make them. They didn't come. They didn't, This is easy, folks. It's if you can't make the thing tonight, do the survey. You can do it online. So, or again, paper and pencil. I got the paper and pencil ones. Give me a call. All right, so that's tonight from 6 to 8 at the middle school. Be there or be square. All right. So Jay Vinsky, the city planner, is spearheading that event, and I think there are lots of people involved in that. So should be all good. Okay.
I'm praying for a good turnout, but you know what's going to happen.
I know what's going to happen. It's going to be the same few people that feel strongly about issues, which is wonderful, and that's great, and we're happy to have them. But all the masses that, just yell at their TV or yell at their radio or yell at the newspaper when they read about things that they don't like happening in the city, they're the ones that aren't going to be there. We know that, right, Pete?
Yeah, that's a general rule.
That's generally what happens. But you know what? Pete and I would love to be proved wrong. We would love to be able to come back next week and say, "Oh my gosh, there were 500 people at the middle school." That would be fantastic. We would love that. We would love to be able to eat our words.
We see how many people turn out when there's like a Carvana or something like that come in.
Yeah.
Hey, all you people that turn out when when you blow up the Target thing going on.
Yes.
Show up for this too.
Show up for this.
Because
this
guess
is
what?
Chance, yeah.
If you really don't want something like Target, this is the place to say, "Hey, we don't want this in the future too."
Exactly.
Just saying.
Yeah, just say it, and let your city legislators know the direction that they're supposed to be going in. We're all kind of looking for direction. So, all right, so that's tonight.
Enough of my soapbox.
That's okay, Pete. It affords us the opportunity. We get up nice and early. We're allowed to have a soapbox periodically. So, Pete, let's talk about what's happening today on the show. So, first of all, on my show, second hour, we will be joined by Dr. Gary Gorman. He started talking last month about his personal journey with functional medicine, and we're going to get an update on how that's going. And also, he talked mostly last time about the nutritional aspect, and he's going to branch off into some other really interesting neurological aspects of it and the brain-gut connection. And so it should be very interesting. So he'll be joining us by telephone at around 7:15. It is the first Monday or Wednesday of the month. So is the Joe Show happening today?
Yes.
Okay, so Joe Rouse will be and Carol Palmer, his mom, will be hosting the Joe Show starting at 8 o'clock. Is that a 1 hour from 8 to 9, Pete?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Auerbach's on after that.
Okay, so lots happening, here today. So that's all a good thing. What else did I want to talk about? All right, let's talk a little bit about the fact that where's my thing? The newsletter came out. The Westfield Senior Center newsletter November issue came out. Here it is. There it is. I knew it was here somewhere. Okay, November issue out. All right, there it is. It has hit the streets. We have them at the Senior Center. Yesterday, they were delivered around the city. And a lot of people are taking advantage of this now. So we have a bin, a tan-colored bin with a green top to it, just outside of the front door of the Senior Center, and the newsletters are in there, so you can stop by anytime. And it was funny because I was distributing newsletters on Monday during curbside lunch, and a lot of people said, "Oh, nope, I already stopped by over the weekend. I already got it." What a lot of people do is they'll pick it up and they'll go to page 2, which is the page with the menu, our lunch menu, and they'll just, circle all the lunches that they know they want to make sure that they get, whether it's indoor or curbside. And so just to remind folks, so we do curbside lunches daily, every day, Monday through Friday. And pickup is between 11 and 11:30, but I have to say people are really great about of closing that window. So it's really more like between 11 and like 11:15 or 11:20, because as the weather gets colder, we would appreciate not having to stand out there a long time. So if you could make it more like 11 to 11:20, that's really great. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we offer indoor lunches. So you have your choice. Do you want to do it curbside? Do you want to come inside and eat? And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we also have coffee in the morning from 9 to 10, if you're so inclined. We generally have Tuesdays and Thursdays our mail call class. I think the entire class now stays for coffee, and it's really nice to see the guys just, hanging around and bonding. They're talking about guy things, whatever guys talk about. It's all men. I do want to announce, though, because this is a bit of a strange month. We're already in November, so we're talking holidays already. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving. So the last 2 weeks of November, which is Thanksgiving week, which is a short week for city employees, and the following week, we are only going to be doing curbside lunches. And I am apologizing in advance. We're not going to do any indoor dining on either of those 2 weeks. Of course, Thanksgiving week, my kitchen crew is going to be doing all the cooking for our Thanksgiving curbside meal, which we are going to be distributing the day before Thanksgiving. And then they're doing some cooking for our homebound folks that will be delivering on Thanksgiving Day. So those are mostly to our folks who currently receive home-delivered meals. So that's a lot of food preparation for them, and they want to be able to spread out throughout the whole great room. So we're not going to do any indoor dining the week of Thanksgiving. And then the following week, we're just going to have one person in the kitchen. George Sfacchio is going to be in there solo doing all the cooking because Joanne Boucher's daughter is getting married the first Saturday in December. So she's going to take that whole week off. So with George being in there by himself, we're going to stick with curbside. So again, I apologize in advance, but these things happen. But you'll have plenty of curbside meals to choose from. All right, it is 6:30. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. So in honor of the birthday of Earl Speedo Carroll, we're going to listen to the Cadillacs singing Speedo. We'll be back.
Boom, boom, boom. Now they often call me Speedo, but my real name is Mister. Now they often call me Speedo, but my real name is Mister. No, for meeting brand new fellas and taking other folks' girl. Well, now they often call me Speedo, 'cause I don't believe in wasting time. Well, now they often call me Speedo, 'cause I don't believe in wasting time. Well, I'm known for pretty women, and that caused them to change their mind. Well, now some may call me Joe, some may call me Mo. Yes, man, my Speedo, he don't never take it slow. Well, now they often call me Speedo, but my real name is Mister. Now they often call me Speedo, but my real name is Mister. Well, now some may call me Mo, some may call me Joe. Yes, man, my Speedo, he don't never take it slow. Well, now they often call me Speedo, but my real name is Mister. Well, now they often call me Speedo, but my real name is Mister. And now they gonna call me Speedo till they call off making pretty girls.
Support for community radio on WSKB provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:34. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses on WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning. You notice the sun's just starting to come up?
Well, you know, it's funny because on the...
dark here, but you can see
exactly. I was going to say it's dark here, but you can see it on the screen on Park Square, and it is.
We got a little bit of a farther view. Remember, that's looking towards the east, and we're looking towards the west.
Yes, and you know, I decided when I left work last night, and I was on my way home, and I have decided that West Springfield, because I live in West Springfield, is in a fog zone all of its own. Like when I come
because of the Westfield River.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's always like as soon as I hit Little George's.
Yeah, because the Westfield River's right there.
I'm in this fog bank.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then I was fine on Route 20. And the same thing happens oftentimes when I'm coming to work. It's foggy when I leave my house. I get out to Little George's, and then when I get onto Route 20, it's like, oh, there's no fog here.
Because you come down the hill.
Yeah,
you come down that
Dewey,
hill.
Yep, on Dewey Street.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so today is November 2nd. It is the birthday of the late Jay Black, singer born on this day in 1938 in Queens, New York. He died October 22nd, 2021. So he just passed away recently, last year, just a year ago, at the age of 82. So Jay Black was an American singer. You might not recognize the name, but you will when I tell you who he sang with. Whose height of fame...
I know, but I won't tell.
Yeah, whose height of fame came in the 1960s when he was the lead singer of the band Jay and the Americans. The band had numerous hits, including Come a Little Bit Closer, Cara Mia, and This Magic Moment, Let's Lock the Door, She Cried, and Walkin' in the Rain. Jay Black was the second and more widely known Jay to lead the band Jay and the Americans, the first being Jay Traynor. He had previously used David Black as his professional name, but changed his first name to suit the band's existing name, because the band was Jay and the Americans. When they lost their lead singer, Jay Traynor, they hired this new guy whose name was David, and so he just changed his name to Jay. Pretty smart. Mm-hmm. He would later bill himself as Jay Black and the Americans after the original band had broken up. In 2006, Black completed bankruptcy proceedings in Manhattan after he accrued a $500,000 debt in back taxes to the IRS as a result of his gambling addiction. Exactly. The IRS initially sought to force him to sell the rights to perform as Jay Black, as well as the trademark for Jay and the Americans, in order to satisfy his debt to the IRS. Black did, however, win a partial victory in the case, which granted him the right to continue to use the name Jay Black, but he was required to sell the rights to perform as Jay and the Americans, and that was purchased by former band members. Jay Black died of pneumonia last year. But you know what? The reason I wanted to do this was I really liked the group Jay and the Americans, and I have to admit that I had no idea how many hits they actually had. They had a lot of, Billboard Top 100 hits. So
yep.
We're gonna play one of my favorites in a few minutes. But anyway, so happy birthday to Jay Black. All right, on the community front, let's talk a little bit about some community stuff going on. So first of all, I was really excited to see this because I spent Sunday. I feel like switching my summer and winter clothes has got. I don't know whether I just get more like bored and tired with the project, and so I feel like it takes me forever. It seems like it consumes more and more weekends out of my fall months. But anyway. This past Sunday, I think I almost finished. The only thing I haven't taken out yet are the boots, but we haven't needed them, thankfully. So I was doing winter coats. So I pulled out this jacket that Gary used to do snow blowing in, and I said to him, okay, when his dad passed away, he inherited some of his dad's clothes, and his dad had a really nice, heavy, warm jacket that Gary uses for snowblowing. So I said, okay, this other jacket that you used to use for snowblowing, I said, where am I putting this? Like, what are we doing with this? And I said, can we give this away? Because I said, I'm sure somebody's going to start doing a coat drive. And Gary said, yeah, absolutely. You can give that one away. Because I'm just a big believer in, especially warm coats. There are people out there that need them. I don't want them hanging in my closet and nobody using them.
Yeah.
Well, sure enough, the next day I come to work, and here's this article in the Westfield News. Winter coat clothing drive begins, seeks sizes for all ages. How perfect is this? So the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce's Share the Warmth Coat Drive has started. And there are several drop-off locations throughout Westfield and Southwick. So first of all, in the spirit of the holiday season, the Chamber is inviting people to help keep kids warm, and also adults, by the way, by donating a new or gently used coat. The drive started on November 1st, and it'll run through December 14th. But what I like is they're also collecting hats, gloves, mittens, and scarves are welcome as well. And this year, the drive will also accept donations of new socks, new undergarments, and new or gently used pants and shirts for all sizes from pre-kindergarten to adult. So that's a lot of collecting. So, like some sweaters, things that are nice, though. Drop-off locations in Westfield, they're all over the city, folks. So there's no excuse not to participate. It's the Westfield Chamber of Commerce, which is 16 North Elm Street. The Westfield School Department, which is 94 North Elm Street. That's in the Westwood Building. Amelia Park Arena on Broad Street. Anytime Fitness over on East Main Street. Betts Plumbing and Heating, which is 14 Coleman Avenue, one of our underwriters. BHN, Behavioral Health Network, Inc., Carson Center, that's at 77 Mill Street. So for those of you that are more on the Southwick side. Cannabis Connection, which is 40 Westfield Industrial Park Road. Results in Westfield, which is Results in Wellness, which is over by Smith. Is it Smithfield? What's the name of that? It used to be Agway, right over there.
Right. In the Nabil Hanoush complex.
Exactly. And speaking of that, also Shortstop Bar and Grill. They're also accepting donations. Westfield Bank up on Southampton Road, and Barnes Regional Airport, the Public Terminal Building, 110 Airport Road. So there are locations. I love that. They really tried to spread them out around the city so it's convenient for everybody. Donations are also being taken in Southwick at Rehab Resolutions, which is 627 College Highway, Suite 6. And another chance to drop off donations will be at the Chamber's Holiday Breakfast on December 16th at East Mountain Country Club. So that's a lot of locations and a really broad time span. You have, like the next 6 weeks to do that. So while you're cleaning out your closets and while you're switching and taking out all your winter things, if you find that you have things that, just people haven't, you haven't used in the family, or people have outgrown, your kids have outgrown coats or whatever, we have a lot of families in Westfield that can really use this help. So, I always tell people, it's like you think that Westfield is a bedroom community and everybody's got plenty of everything. And I am here to tell you that is not true, because those of us who work in social services see the folks who don't necessarily have everything that they need. And, this year, especially with the fuel prices skyrocketing, people need coats, they need sweaters, they need scarves, because, in some cases they're going to be wearing those scarves inside, not just outside.
It'll be a long winter.
It is going to be a long winter. And speaking of keeping people warm, I pulled this article off of this week's Penny Saver, only because this was another one that interested me while I'm cleaning out my closets, and I have blankets to spare. The Mennonites seek blankets to help Ukraine in the winter. And there's a photograph of Ron Hess answering questions about the Mennonite Church's missions in Ukraine, including an urgent appeal for comforters before winter. I know Ron Hess because he did a lot of built-ins for our house. He is one of the owners of Countryside Woodcraft up in, where's that, Russell, Blandford, wherever that is. In Russell. It's in Russell. It's on Route 20 in Russell. And I recognize him from the picture. So their church, the Mennonite Church up in Russell, has been or is in the process of collecting blankets and comforters for folks in Ukraine. Again, this is going to be a tough winter for them. So if you have blankets, comforters, anything like that's warm for them, you can get them over to Countryside Woodcraft. And while you're there, I mean, man, that is a great field trip. They did a lot of built-ins. We renovated years ago. We finished off our basement and turned it into a pub, and they did a lot of the built-ins, and it's absolutely beautiful. They also did our bathroom. We renovated our master bath, and they did all the woodworking for that. So it's a great family. It's family owned and run. It's Countryside Woodcraft. But right now, for the next several weeks, until November 15th, so for the next 2 weeks, they will be collecting blankets, comforters, anything like that, sleeping bags, anything like that, to get over to Ukraine. So you can take them up to Countryside Woodcraft. It's right on Route 20. Just take a nice drive. It's beautiful. Check out the leaves. So help my friend out, Ron Hess, over there. All right, it is 6:44. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. So, there were a lot of Jay and the American songs to choose from in honor of the birthday of Jay Black, but I chose Cara Mia because I just think it's beautiful. We'll be back.
Cara mia, why must we say goodbye each time we part? My heart wants to die. Darling, hear my prayer. Come to me fair. I'll be your love till the Cara mia, why must we say goodbye each time we part? My heart wants to die. Darling, hear my prayer. Come to me fair. I'll be your love till the Darling, hear my prayer. Cover me in fair. I'll be your love till the
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Join us every Thursday morning.
From 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show.
Right here on WSKB 89.5.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:48. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So I keep looking outside, and it's still dark out over here, but as Pete has pointed out, the camera on Park Square is heading east, so we can see the sun coming up in Park Square Green, but not out here at Westfield
Right, because we're on the wrong
Technical
side.
Academy yet. Right, all right. But that'll happen. It will happen. All right, so today is the birthday of the late Burt Lancaster, actor, producer, born on this day in 1913 in New York City. He died in 1994 at the age of 80. And I have to tell you, when I started digging into his bio and his background, I could not believe the number of films and the type of films that he did. So let's talk a little bit about Burt Lancaster, because he really was an amazing actor. Initially known for playing tough guys with a tender heart, Burt Lancaster went on to achieve success with more complex and challenging roles over a 45-year career in film and later television. Lancaster performed as a circus acrobat in the 1930s. After serving in World War II, the 32-year-old Lancaster landed a role in a Broadway play and drew the attention of a Hollywood agent. His breakthrough role was in the film noir The Killers in 1946 alongside Ava Gardner. A critical success, it launched both of their careers. 2 years later, Lancaster starred alongside Barbara Stanwyck in the commercially and critically acclaimed film Sorry, Wrong Number, where he portrayed the husband to her bedridden invalid character. In 1953, Lancaster played the illicit lover of Deborah Kerr in the military drama From Here to Eternity. A box office smash, it won 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and landed a Best Actor nomination for Burt Lancaster. Other films included The Rainmaker in 1956 with Katharine Hepburn, Gunfight at the OK Corral in 1957 with frequent co-star Kirk Douglas, Trapeze in 1956, a box office smash in which he used his acrobatic skills. Sweet Smell of Success, a dark drama today considered a classic. Run Silent, Run Deep in 1958, that was a World War II submarine drama with Clark Gable. And Separate Tables in 1958, a hotel set drama which received 7 Oscar nominations. Lancaster played a Nazi war criminal in 1961 in the all-star war crime trial film Judgment at Nuremberg, playing a bird expert prisoner in Birdmen of Alcatraz in 1962. He earned the BAFTA Award for Best Foreign Actor and his 3rd Oscar nomination. In 1970, Burt Lancaster starred in the box office hit air disaster drama Airport, not to be confused with the comedy Airplane.
Right.
A different movie.
The airplane was kind of a parody of Airport.
Right. Airport was a tragedy. Starting in the late 1970s, he also appeared in television miniseries, including the award-winning Separate But Equal with Sidney Poitier. Burt Lancaster continued acting into his late 70s until a stroke in 1990 forced him to retire. 4 years later, he died from a heart attack. His final film role was in the Oscar-nominated Field of Dreams. So happy birthday to the late Burt Lancaster. That is quite the resume of films. So impressive. All right, and it is also the birthday. I think this is my last birthday. We'll do one more birthday and wrap those up. It is the birthday of Ray Walston, the late Ray Walston, actor born on this day in 1914 in Laurel, Mississippi. He died January 1st. He died on New Year's Day, 2001, at the age of 86. Ray Walston made his Broadway debut in 1945. His live theater credits included Mr. Applegate in Damn Yankees and Luther Billis in South Pacific, and he reprised both of those roles in the film version. So he did the Broadway versions as well as the film versions. Walston achieved his greatest success as the title character, Uncle Martin, on My Favorite Martian. Remember that show from 1963 to 1966, alongside co-star Bill Bixby. The two immediately became close friends. The show was a top 10 hit in its first season, still in the top 30 in its second, but it dropped to 45th in its third and final season. The success of My Favorite Martian, and this is what actors always fear, typecast Ray Walston, and he had difficulty finding serious roles after the show's cancellation. He returned to character actor status in the 1970s and 1980s and guest starred in such series as The Wild Wild West, Love American Style, The Rookies, Mission Impossible, The $6 Million Man, Little House on the Prairie, and The Incredible Hulk, again with Bill Bixby, in which Walston played Jasper the Magician in an episode called My Favorite Magician. From 1980 to 1992, Ray Walston starred in 14 films, including Fast Times at Ridgemont High, as well as the 1986 television adaptation as Mr. Hand. Walston played the role of Judge Henry Bone on the television series Picket Fences. I didn't watch that series, but my parents used to watch that. They really liked it. The character was originally a recurring role, but Walston proved to be so popular that the character was later upgraded to a starring role in the series Picket Fences. So happy birthday to the late Ray Walston, our favorite Martian. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a few more announcements here. So we have at the Senior Center, this is a major announcement, and I actually have signs already posted at the front door. So the Senior Center will be closed this coming Monday morning, just for the morning. The building will open at 7 o'clock. That is on the front page of the November newsletter, but for those of you who haven't seen the newsletter yet, I'm letting you know that. And the reason for that is because every 2 years, the staff has to go through their CPR, AED, and first aid training. So we will be doing that on Monday morning. And we have learned over the years that the easiest way for us to do it is for all the staff to do it at one time. That way we're all certified at once. So we have 2 years to go before our next certification, and we just close the Senior Center. There will be no lunch served curbside on Monday. The building will open shortly before 1 o'clock for all of our afternoon programs. So our fitness programs, and Monday morning sort of seem to be the least disruptive, so that's why we chose that. And thank you to the Westfield Fire Department because they are going to be doing our training this year, so we're excited about that. I'm also really, really pleased to announce a much requested program presentation. It's called Grief Myths, Grief Truths. And this will be held on Tuesday, November 15th at 1:30 at the Senior Center. Bay State Hospice Bereavement Coordinator David Arfa will be leading this presentation and discussion. And so this is all about grief and loss. We have lost a lot of seniors over the last couple of years. Some because of COVID, because of the pandemic. Others, it was just the timing. And I've had a lot of my seniors asking about grief counseling, grief support groups, and things like that. David actually does a virtual grief support group through Bay State Hospice. This is going to not be that. It'll be in person. It'll be just a one-time presentation, but it's going to start with a short award-winning documentary film called Voices of Grief, where people share their grief journeys, and then David will build on that video. People will be able to, participate, ask questions, do their own sharing. So we do ask you to please sign up for that, only so that I know which room we're going to utilize for that program. Again, the date is Tuesday, November 15th at 1:30 in the Senior Center, and just give us a call at 562-6435. That's the Senior Center number. If you'd like to participate in that, we'll just put you down just so I have a number and I know which room we're going to use for that. On a brighter note, we have started, the Friends of the Westfield Senior Center has started we're making this an annual because I think this is the third year that we're doing this. It's our lottery ticket holiday fundraiser. So the prize is it's a holiday gift package for gift giving. So it's 4 small gift bags, 6 medium gift bags, 1 holiday stocking, 2 rolls of Scotch tape, 2 packs of gift tags, 2 boxes of Christmas cards for you to send out your Christmas cards, 2 packages of holiday tissue paper, but the best, of course, is $100 worth of lottery tickets. which you can either give away as gifts, you can give them away as stocking stuffers, you can keep them for yourself, and there's plenty of lottery tickets. There's $1, $2, $5, $10. There may even be one $20 in there. So you decide if you want to keep them all or if you want to keep some and give some away to the grandkids or the kids or whatever. The tickets for this are $5 for a sheet of 25 tickets, and there's actually one bonus ticket, so there are actually 26 tickets. We are going to draw the winning name on Thanksgiving Day, so the winner will be notified on the Monday after Thanksgiving. So you'll have all of this in plenty of time if you want to use, any of the tickets as Christmas presents. And you'll, of course, be able to send out your Christmas cards and all of those great things. So that's the prize. We are selling tickets at the greeter's desk. They have been selling hot and heavy. We started selling these the day of our 7-year itch party. And I will tell you, last year the winner was one of our line dancers. So you can bet your bottom dollar that Friday morning all of the line dancers were purchasing tickets because they're all feeling pretty lucky. So, yeah. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great fundraiser for the Friends of the Westfield Senior Center, who have done amazing work in supporting the senior center. They furnished the entire thing. They're helping out with the second floor renovation project that we are about to undertake. That should be starting very soon. I think the bids are going to be going out soon. So yeah, lots of good things happening at the senior center. All right, let's take our top of the hour break. We have a couple of special days coming up in November and a few more announcements, and we'll be getting ready for our conversation with Dr. Gorman at 7:15. It is 6:59. You are listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses on WCPC Cable Channel 15. We'll be back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley, with convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut. Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:03. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
We're still waiting for the light to appear out here.
It's getting less dark.
Yeah, it's getting a
gray.
little less dark. All right, so Pete, November is National Peanut Butter Lovers Month. I had to mention this today because we have Dr. Gorman who will be joining us in a few minutes by phone, and he is a peanut butter fanatic. He absolutely loves it. So National Peanut Butter Lovers Month is an annual designation observed in November. Dr. Gorman is convinced that peanut butter is one of the most heavenly things on the planet. Peanut butter is so versatile, you can literally incorporate it into any and every meal of the day and not get sick of it. Well, maybe you would get sick of it, but Dr. Gorman would never get sick of it, ever. I mean, the only crisis in our house food-wise is if we run out of peanut butter, and we try to stay well stocked. For breakfast, you can smother it on some toast, waffles, or pancakes, or put a spoonful in your smoothie. For lunch, you can dip vegetables like carrots and celery in it. If you're having a lazy dinner, slap together a quick PB and banana sandwich for a sweet and salty meal that will keep you full for the night. And how about this? The Loudon Pizza from Zorbaz, which is a small pizza chain scattered throughout Minnesota. This pizza is topped with pizza sauce, peanut butter, extra cheese, pepperoni, and jalapenos. Just let that sink in for a minute. Pizza sauce, peanut butter, extra cheese, pepperoni, and jalapenos. Peanut butter lovers claim that the salty, sweet, spicy combo make this pizza to die for. Try it out sometime if you're in Minnesota. For dessert, you can drizzle peanut butter pretty much over anything, literally anything. Apple slices, cookies, brownies, ice cream, you name it. So for all of you peanut butter lovers, this is your month. November, National Peanut Butter Lovers Month. So just let that sink in for a second. All right, couple more.
I like peanut butter once in a while, but not all the time.
I love it, but Dr. Gorman Gary just absolutely, he just loves it. Loves it. Yep. Yeah. All right, so listen, you mentioned before, Pete, that we have Veterans Day coming up. It's a week from Friday, November 11th. So a couple of things that we've highlighted in the November newsletter regarding Veterans Day. So first of all, just want to remind folks that thank you to Julie Barnes and James Jordan and all the folks over at Veteran Services. We now have an American flag disposal box at the Senior Center, so you can drop off your tattered American flags that you want to retire respectfully. You can put them in the box. You can't miss it, folks. When you face the Senior Center, it's outside, so you don't have to come in the building, so you can drop them off at any time of the day or night, and people drop them off a lot on the weekends because I'm there and I can hear the cars popping in. It's on the right-hand side of the front door. It's red, white, and blue. You can't miss it. So please feel free to use that. Also, Julie and James are starting something new. They're calling it Lunch with the Veteran Staff. So on Tuesdays, either or both of them will be in the dining room at the Great Room. So if you want to just, informally have lunch inside with either Julie, James, or both of them, you have to sign up for lunch, just like you would normally. It's $3. Call in is between 8:30 and 9:15. We do suggest that you call in at 8:30. Some of our lunches sell out, and we don't want people to be disappointed. So on Tuesdays, there will be a staff member from Veteran Services that will just be there to have lunch with you, and you can chat informally, ask questions, get more information about benefits. But Julie thought that might be a kind of a nice, fun way for people to feel comfortable getting some information about some benefits that they might be eligible for. And also in keeping with the Veterans Day and the Thanksgiving Day theme, our Channel 15 performer is a reprised performance of Sarah the Fiddler, and she honors both veterans and gives thanks for the many blessings in our lives. So that performance is shown on Channel 15 on Wednesday afternoons at 2:40 p.m., Saturdays at 6 p.m. throughout the month, And then this month we will also be airing that on Veterans Day, which is Friday, November 11th at noon and 7 p.m. And then again on Thanksgiving Day, which is Thursday, November 24th at noon and 7 p.m. So plenty of opportunities to watch that program of Sarah the Fiddler. She came into the studio last year and taped it here. She did such a great job that we wanted to bring that back for everyone during the month of November this year as well. And we thank Sarah the Fiddler. She does a lot of performances, especially in honor of veterans. And I know she's done a lot over at the Soldiers Home. So thank you to Sarah. All right, November 4th is National Stress Awareness Day. So National Stress Awareness Day on the first Wednesday in November aims to identify and reduce the stress factors in your life. Everyone has stress. Some stress is good for us. It helps us to respond to changes in life. Stress is our body's way of protecting itself from harm. However, too much stress causes harm to our health, and it can also cause harm to our relationships. Identifying the stressors impacting our physical and mental health is important. Sometimes health problems are the cause, but our health can also be affected by external stressors such as physical abuse, stressful work environments, financial stress, a lot of us are feeling that now, or other family health issues. Once we identify the causes of stress in our lives, we can begin to eliminate or reduce stress. Some tools that help with stress include develop coping skills for anxiety, identify and let go of the things that you can't change. Exercise helps us to let go of built-up anxiety, and eating a balanced diet fuels our bodies so we're better able to cope with the stress. So how to observe Stress Awareness Day? Develop a routine to help you lessen your tension. Go for a walk. Do some deep breathing. Get some exercise or a massage. Take a long, relaxing bath. If you're struggling with the amount of stress in your life, seek professional help. You can speak to your doctor or check with your employer for an assistance program designed to help employees balance their life. And I also would just remind you that we have at the Senior Center our Rest, Relax, and Recharge guided imagery group. And they meet on Tuesday afternoons from 2:45 to 4 o'clock. That is a great stress reliever. Nancy Greenwood, who's a Reiki master, leads that group. And so, no charge for that. You don't have to sign up. Just come to the Senior Center on Tuesday. They just did a session yesterday, so just come on down. I know the folks that are doing that are really getting a lot out of it. So it is 7:10. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. And in honor of Stress Awareness Day, we're going to listen to Billy Joel singing Pressure. When we come back, Dr. Gorman will be joining.
SKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:15. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. Pete Coles is in the studio with me, and on the phone is our resident chiropractor, Dr. Gary Gorman. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Tina. Nice to hear it from you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Yes, I'm well.
And here we are, Gary, our monthly meeting on television.
We have to quit meeting like this. Some people may think we're actually married.
I know.
I don't know.
So
it's all good, though.
It is all good. So last month, Gary, you kind of started talking about a journey that you started several months ago, working with a group of it has to do with functional medicine, which you'll have to kind of sort of explain that a little bit. But anyway, you talked about your own journey, some of your, dealing with some anxiety. And by the way, today is National Stress Awareness Day, so it fits in nicely with the topic. But also some of your own health issues. And you started last month talking, you primarily focused on dietary issues and nutrition. I'm really letting you take this wherever you want to take it. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I don't know if you want to do a little recap and then kind of get into today's topic or jump right in. Totally up to you.
No, I think it's a good idea to review what we went over last month. I have been working with Origins Collaborative Care now for about 6 months or so, and we're basically approaching this as the philosophy of Origins Collaborative Care with 2 branches. Basically, the first branch is more of a nutritional, biochemical, immune system, cellular level. It's basically working on nutrition, diet, influencing these areas. So we started that, and that's what I talked a lot about last month. We started with me to improve my gut digestion and absorption. So the gastrointestinal system, the stomach and the intestines, that's where all nutrients are absorbed. That's where a lot of our hormones and our chemicals and things are actually manufactured in this area, absorbed into the blood, and goes to different body parts. Well, we need to make sure that that system is working optimally before we go to the next step. It doesn't make any sense to go into a lot of nutritional supplements and vitamins and working on certain food stuff and food sources if our gut is not optimal and it's not breaking down, absorbing, and eliminating efficiently.
Okay.
That would just make sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing. Now, I briefly talked at the end of last month on what was called mast cells, mast cell activation syndrome. It's mast cells in our body are the most primitive portion of our immune system. They're around. They react very quickly to just about anything. And a Western-trained hematologist by the name of Lawrence Afrin wrote a book called Never Bet Against Occam. And I know that Pete knows about Occam. And what Occam's razor is, it's a principle that dates back to the 1700s, team. And so, in essence, what would happen is if that using this way to diagnose a condition, if a patient walked into a doctor's office and had 7 or 8 different ailments, the chances are that they could possibly walk out with 7 or 8 different medications, one medication to address each one of these ailments. But Occam's razor basically said if you search hard enough, there is probably one, if no more than 2 underlying causes that are the common thread to all these different ailments.
Okay.
And the
Makes
key
sense.
is, and so what in Afrin's book, it's a fascinating book on mast cells. And
Wait,
it's,
Gary, can I
first of
just wait? Let me just stop you there. Are you saying mass or mast?
Mast, M-A-S-T.
M-A-S-T cells.
Yep.
Okay.
And mast cells are cells that we've all heard of histamine, right?
Yes.
Remember,
Yes.
histamine is a chemical that causes inflammation. When people have allergies, they take antihistamines.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah.
Okay.
We've
Well,
heard of
mast
that.
cells are part of the biochemical cascade to release histamine into the system, which causes inflammation.
Okay.
Now, the challenge with mast cell disorders are that it affects everybody differently, and it could affect the same person differently in different body parts. That's how tricky this kind of condition is to treat. And according to Afrin in his book, he basically says that medical schools really look at this as a very rare disorder. They virtually don't train or teach the med students much about the disorder. So consequently, when they get out into clinical practice, they're not even looking for the disorder.
Right.
But the reason he wrote this book is that he was starting to get referrals from these bizarre appearing conditions by field doctors. And what ultimately always came up was an elevation of mast cells with these primitive immune system cells that are secreting, that are causing histamine to release into the body and causing the body to react to that by mounting an immune response and causing inflammation. And inflammation long-term in our body is very detrimental, and it causes a lot of ill health situations. So,
okay, let me just let me stop you there. Let me ask a question. So, go back to what you just said. The common thread was the number of mast cells,
yes,
or was it was it quantity or quality?
Quantity.
Okay, the number of mast cells was increased. That was the common thread for people with these kind of strange symptoms.
Right.
Okay.
And so the situation only gets more complex in that at the end of Afrin's book, he talks about how do we resolve this problem. For one, resolve the problem that medical schools don't think it's a very common disorder. The education background of the physicians coming out into the field. And another one is the laboratory testing that is a bit more sophisticated than your actual run-of-the-mill test. And the way the labs are actually done, it has to be in certain environments, and there's a timely manner in which these have to be done. So it gets very difficult. So the long and the short of it all is that there's many of us that possibly could have at least some glimmering of a mast cell disorder that is creating nondescript symptoms in our body, and it hasn't been diagnosed or treated because of the unfamiliarity of the condition. Right. So last night I just said for ha-has, let me go online and find how many doctors specialize in mast cells in Massachusetts. Well, first thing that popped up, we are so spoiled by living in New England and outside of Boston, because the first thing that comes up is Brigham and Women's. Brigham and Women's has the largest mast cell clinic in the United States.
Wow.
So they have physicians that are specially trained in mast cell disorders. But it's interesting, Tina, what I read when I started reading just a little bit of the introduction about their clinic on MCAS, mast cell disorders, et cetera. And there's a condition, the main mother condition is called mastocytosis. So mastocytosis would be, if you looked it up in the dictionary, or Google it, that's what you would come up with. And it's broken down into smaller subgroups, MCAS being one of them. But ironically, they said that they treat up to 300 cases a year of mast cell disorders. If you really think about the largest clinic in the United States for mast cells treating a number of 300, that is so small that
it's tiny.
It's tiny. And I have to just think that they're not getting referrals from the field doctors, because the field doctors aren't trained to detect this disorder.
Right. I mean, it's one thing to say, it's one thing to talk about treatment, but the reality is that if you don't have a diagnosis, you're not going to be getting the treatment for it.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's where we're going to be starting next. Jessica Jimison, who is the nurse practitioner in the Origins Collaborative Care practice, is actually studied quite extensively. She has a really strong background in biochemistry and the studies of what goes on at the cellular level, and when things break down at the cellular level, ho-hum, the tissues are affected, the organs are affected, the organ systems are affected, the human being is affected. So that's what basically where we're heading with this, continuing to head with this. So I just actually met telemedicine with Jessica last week, and we're going to get some more lab work done, taking the next step, finding out how I've done so far the first 5 months of her individual protocol that she has set up for me, the individual treatment plan. And we're going to order new labs, and we're going to see what the next step is as far as if I have to do any more dietary restrictions, or I could start reintroducing some gluten or dairy into my diet, and what else, some of these other sensitive tests that will be ordered as to what else is going on and how we start to treat that. So that's basically where we are so far
in the journey.
Okay,
so I want to go back to just take a couple of minutes before we take our first break and just go back to the mast cell dilemma here. So can you kind of describe some of the symptoms that sometimes show with a mast cell disorder?
Yeah. So mast cells tend to hibernate near the orifices of the human body. So you'll find mast cells in the mouth, in the genital area, in the rectum, in the vagina, near these areas. But they're systemic. They're throughout the body. Some conditions, simple as sensitivity reactions to skin disorders, itching, scratching, these systemic types of disorders. Headaches could be one of them. Visual changes could be one of these. Again, anywhere where our body is exposed to the environment, our eyes being one of them, our nose being one of those. So these symptoms of seasonal allergies and upper respiratory tract infections and respiratory disorders are a few that can come to mind. Energy loss, again, when our body is continuing to battle and it's in this pro-inflammatory state, it can't heal properly. So it MCAS not only can be creating symptoms in and of itself, but it takes energy away from our body to go through its proper and normal physiological functions during the course of the day. We only have a finite amount of energy, and when we start to use that energy from certain organ systems, we are tending to take it away from other organ systems. I'll go into that in a couple minutes when we start talking about the nervous system and how that works and operates too. So the difficulty, Teen, to answer your question is it's different for everybody, and it's kind of bizarre cases. So when your doctor is scratching their head on, I have no clue on what this disorder is, pop into your head, I wonder if it's MCAS. That's what Afrin basically says. It's all these bizarre situations. So
I think certainly in your case too, it was a combination of strange things that didn't seem to be related, but possibly they are all related. So that's what we're trying to find out.
Well, if Occam's razor is correct, maybe this is the pathway. So
all right. So it is. Let's take a short break. It is 7:30. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. If you're just joining us, my guest this morning is Dr. Gary Gorman, a chiropractor with Strength for Life up at East Hampton, in honor of the birthday of Jay Black. Because I had so many Jay and the American songs that I loved, I couldn't choose just one. So before we listen to Katamia, and we are going to listen to this really kind of fun one. It's called Come a Little Bit Closer. We'll be back.
In a little cafe just the other side of the border, she was just sitting there giving me looks that made my mouth water. So I started walking her way. She belonged When I looked, the cafe was empty. Then I heard Jose say, man, you know you're in trouble plenty. So I dropped my drink from my hand, and through the window I ran. And as I rode away, I could hear her say to Jose, come a little bit closer, you're my kind of man, so big and so strong. Come a little bit closer, I'm all alone, and the night is so long.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:34. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. In the studio with me is the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles, and on the phone we have Dr. Gary Gorman, chiropractor with Strength for Life. You have to stop breathing into your phone there, Gary. We're getting a lot of staticky stuff.
How's this? I had it on speaker.
Okay, yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Dr. Gary Gorman.
You can tell I'm alive over here.
I can. That's true. I guess that's a good thing. You know?
Breathing check.
Yeah, breathing check. Exactly. You got it, Pete.
Breathing check.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you. So, Gary, you were talking. So you've been talking about your sort of personal journey working with functional medicine. So we just covered mast cells, and I think you want to get into a little bit about about neurology. So is that where we're heading?
Yeah, I am. Yes, and so the other member of the Origins Collaborative Care team that I work with is Michaela Giles, who has a lot of training in the neuro component of this, and this is going on a lot of the premise by a book written called The Polyvagal Theory by Stephen Porges. Stephen Porges is a psychiatrist, and he has been studying the neuropsychological components from the late 60s, actually, and he is a fascinating guy. I read his book, and I've also watched him on doing interviews on YouTube videos and TED Talks, YouTube videos especially, and he is absolutely fascinating. So basically, what he has researched is the portion of our nervous system which is called the autonomic nervous system. And so let's use for this talk this morning, let's use the word automatic nervous system.
Okay.
That's probably a little bit easier for the listening and the viewing audience to understand. There's a part of our nervous system that is functioning constantly and doing surveillance every second of the day for us as a protecting mechanism for us that we don't have any conscious awareness of or control over.
Okay.
Okay. So, and so it's interesting. So when you run up a flight of stairs, you don't have to tell your heart to beat faster.
Right.
If you're running down the street, you don't have to tell your lungs to start breathing faster. It's an automatic response that takes place. And so Porges has done a tremendous amount of research, and he basically has broken down this automatic nervous system into basically three parts. And so the first part is he actually studied the response of reptiles, and our brain has evolved over many, many years. If you go into basic neuroanatomy, we have a portion of our brain which is called the reptilian brain, and it's the brain, it's our oldest portion of the human brain. Basically it's not as developed, or it's not as sophisticated as the brain that developed in mammals and human beings. So let's go back to the reptiles and this automatic nervous system. So with reptiles, you know, alligators and frogs and lizards and everything else, what this automatic nervous system, there's a nerve called the vagus nerve. And in the reptilian nervous system, the vagus nerve takes over automatically when you have a situation of a predator and of a prey. So when a prey, a small animal, a small reptile, is wandering around looking for food, and his nervous system senses that there's a predator attacking them, his nervous system automatically kicks into gear. For example, he told an example in his book that reptiles can submerge themselves in water and lower their metabolism so much that and stay underwater for up to 30, 40 minutes to get away from a predator. And in the modern day time, I've noticed this myself. If you happen to see a cat running through the backyard with a mouse in its mouth, the mouse is limp, because what the dorsal vagus nerve does, it slows down the system, so the heartbeat is hardly beating, the respiration is hardly, the lungs are hardly moving, and the prey looks like it's dead. So what happens is it immobilizes this animal, and the predator kind of gets bored with it, drops it down, and it takes off and runs away. So it's a
literally,
protecting mechanism.
it's literally like playing dead. Like, I'm just going to pretend that I'm dead. Cat's going to get bored with me, and that's my survival. Okay.
Exactly. And so that we as humans have a portion of that nervous system that still works today in our medicine. So moving forward, when the nervous system evolved and became advanced in the mammalian species, which we fall into that class
as
us,
mammals. Yep.
And so the automatic nervous system that has gotten so much press for so many years is the sympathetic nervous system. It's the fight or flight nervous system. It is the nervous system that we hear about when we have adrenaline that starts flowing through our bodies, and and that gets all the press.
It does.
The dawn parasympathetic vagus nerve is as I would say, the Irish stepchild of the nervous system. It just doesn't get any respect.
It's not as glamorous, Gare.
No, the redheaded Irish stepchild is not really. That's where it's heading. But the fight. This is a very important nervous system, and it especially is ramped up in today's society. So the sympathetic nervous system, again, automatically takes over when our nervous system perceives a threat of some sort. And so what happens, it starts to automatically take over. It starts to shunt blood, or it takes blood away from certain body parts and brings it to other body parts. So our blood automatically starts getting shifted away from our internal organs for digestion and is put out into the extremities, the arms and the legs. Our heart rate starts to increase. Our respiratory rate starts to increase. So our human body starts to get ramped up, or any mammal start to get ramped up, because it's in preparation for fighting or fleeing for its life. It's a life-saving tactic, and this happens again at the unconscious level.
It's just your basic level. You're not thinking about it. It's just like you just do it, and then we'll figure it out later. Right.
So that's basically those are basically the two nervous system. Now, there is a third, and it's the most evolved and advanced nervous system in the human, which is called the ventral vagal system. And this book is just absolutely fascinating. I have a fairly strong background in neurology, and these concepts were so new and different to me that I just it was just pretty amazing. And so the ventral vagal system is the home base of where we would want to spend a lot of our time in. This is the system that takes place when we as beings, we are social beings as humans, and it is part of what is called the social engagement system. So, and I'll give you examples of this, Teen, in a minute, because I want the anatomy portion is not as important, but how it plays in our day-to-day activities.
How does it affect us?
So this is playing in the social engagement system. So. Dr. Porges came up with this term. It's called neuroception. We've heard of the term perception, right?
Yep.
You know what?
Yeah,
I
perception.
perceive that you're not happy with me now. I perceive that it's cold outside. It is our conscious awareness of an observation that takes place.
Okay.
It's our cerebral cortex, our thinking part of the brain, is making an assessment. That is a perception, or an idea, or a thought. The term, he came up with this term, which is fascinating. It's called neuroception, and I'll read it to you. It describes how neural circuits distinguish whether situations or people are safe, dangerous, or life-threatening. Okay. Neuroception explains why a baby coos at a caregiver but cries at a stranger, or why a toddler enjoys a parent's embrace but views a hug from a stranger as an assault.
Okay.
These young children don't think about that. So put yourself in the situation. And again, these are the advanced ventral vagal system is the vagus nerve taking over in a very specific part of our body, okay? And so it integrates, it receives messages from and sends messages to a portion of our middle ear that controls muscle contraction, and it's focused in on certain tones of voice, basically, or surrounding sounds.
Okay.
It causes a change in facial expressions. It causes a change. It affects the larynx, so it affects intonation of sound and voice of when we're speaking and when we're talking.
Okay.
And this happens again automatically. So when we walk into a situation, like for example, walking into a group environment, our ventral vagus nerve scans almost immediately, and we will look around the room, and our brain is, we're looking and going, okay, is it safe to proceed? Is it safe to move forward or not?
Yep.
And Teen, how many times have we used the expression gut feeling?
Yes. Yeah, people use that all the time. Oh, my gut, I don't have a good gut feeling about this. Or, you know what, I feel good. Yeah, my gut is telling me this is fine. It's going to be okay.
Well, the reason why that happens is the vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve that we have coming out of the brain, and it is called the wanderer. The vagus nerve is almost totally responsible for the gastrointestinal system.
Okay.
So when you walk into a room and your body, your brain is scanning quickly, you get a gut feeling of if I can proceed with safety and it's safe for me to do so, or I'm backing off on this.
So what's interesting? So I think what's interesting about that is, it literally is a gut feeling. It literally is a gut feeling. We use that expression. It's like, oh, my gut feeling. But literally what you're saying is we've got this nerve that's going from our brain to our gut, and it literally is real.
Yes. And also, and interesting enough, the vagus nerve, 80% of the vagus nerve is receiving information from our body, and it is sending messages to act on our heart and on our gut 20% of the time.
Okay.
So it is our heart and our gut are the two main organ systems that the vagus nerve is working directly. It's not the mind-body connection. Porges likes to use the term brain-body connection because we have to take the mind out of it. The mind has this connotation of the conscious awareness.
Right. Yep. Sort of
and
that thought
process. And the brain
process.
is at it's flying under the radar. It's happening
Automatic.
without us knowing it. So that's the neuroception piece of it. It makes perfectly good sense to me for my own personal journey as to why I reacted and responded to certain things. And I thought I was going crazy for a while because there were certain times where I became totally immobilized, where I couldn't move forward, and my dorsal vagal nerve was shutting me down. And he gives life examples of how this happens in our world.
Yeah.
And our world has changed, and unfortunately, our ability to transition and move from state to state has become disrupted, and it becomes difficult for us. It's difficult for us to transition in and out of that state. So I'm going to give you an example on this from our ancestral. Do you need to take a break?
Yeah,
Tina,
let's take a break. Let's let all of that sink in because you're giving, that's a lot of information to absorb. So let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, you can give us an example. We'll have probably about 10 minutes when you get back. So you are listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses on WCPC Cable Channel 15. If you're just joining us, my guest this morning is Dr. Gary Gorman, chiropractor with Strength for Life. We're going to take a short break, Gary. This one's just for you because November is National Peanut Butter Lovers Month. So we're going to listen to the song Peanut Butter by the Marathons. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back.
There's a food going around that's a sticky goo. Peanut butter. Oh, well, it tastes real good, but it's so hard to chew. All my friends tell me that they dig it the most. Peanut butter. Early in the morning when they spread it on toast. Peanut butter. I like peanut butter, creamy peanut butter, chunky peanut butter too. Come on now, take a lesson now. Peanut butter. Open up your jar now. Spread it on your cracker now. Peanut butter. Stir it now. Peanut butter. I like peanut butter, creamy peanut butter, chunky peanut butter too. Well, I went to a dinner and what did they eat? Peanut butter. Well, I took a big bite and it stuck to my teeth. Peanut butter.
Now everybody looks like they got the mumps.
Peanut butter. Eating peanut butter in a great big home. Peanut butter. I like peanut butter, creamy peanut butter, chalky peanut butter too. I like peanut butter, creamy peanut butter, chalky peanut butter too.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes and Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:52. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in the studio this morning with Pete Coles, and on the phone we have our resident chiropractor, Dr. Gary Gorman. Gary practices at Strength for Life up in East Hampton. Gary, we got about 5 minutes, so I know you wanted to give some examples.
Okay, let me give you a couple different word descriptions of these three states of the nervous system. I think that's a good place to start. So, the dorsal vagus nerve, outward clinical observations would be disappearance, numbness, collapse, i.e., some people who are clinically depressed, they retreat. They're alone. They don't want to be with anybody. They're in bed a lot. These are outward symptoms that could describe a dorsal vagus nerve dysregulation or abnormality.
Okay.
The sympathetic nervous system, anxiety, frustration, anger, fight or flight, high energy, ramped up, go, 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 I'm out of control, these kind of activities. It's like, trying to drive into Boston during a traffic jam, this kind of stuff. The ventral vagus nerve, the place where we want to ultimately spend more of our time, is safety, connection, and curiosity. And the breakdown of this is when we, on day to day and hour to hour and minute to minute, we go in and out of these three different autonomic nervous system states. The problem lies is when we have a dysregulation or an inability or a difficulty of transitioning in and out. We kind of get stuck someplace in one of these states, and and then therapy and treatment help to become more efficiently regulated to move in and out of these states more efficiently. So let me give you an example. Our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, and so in essence, when our ancestors lived in small colonies, they would go to bed at sunset and they would get up at sunrise, and their day started. They had to go gather food for their family. So a man or a woman would go off in the morning and start to find food for the day for the family. And so this ancestor goes out, going through the woods, and he's looking for small animals to shoot, whether it's with a bow and arrow or spear or whatever it is. And he comes across the bear. So now he is the predator, and he may very well all of a sudden become the prey, because this bear is also out foraging for food, and this may be the guy who's going to hunt for his family. So he's going out initially to gather food for his family, and his nervous system is a certain state of taking care of the family. Right. That could be very much of a ventral state, because it's part of the community. His sympathetic nervous system automatically kicks into gear. He looks up. He has to make a decision. His heart rate's going, I'm going to either back out of this really quickly or attack this bear. So there's a confrontation that takes place. And so he kind of makes himself do what he needs to do. The bear gets bored with him, and he goes running. The bear goes taking off, and the father continues gathering for the day and goes to the family. So he goes back to the tribe. So meanwhile, his heart's beating. He's still getting over this event that took place. And so when he goes back to the tribe, he starts to share the story with other members of this small community. And the members of the community are ancestrally, what they would do is, and these are anthropologist stories, would tell them that they would take this hunter in and just they would prepare like a certain steam bath for them, or they would sit and talk to them. They would help feed him. They would help bring his nervous system from that anxious state back down to a very calm state. He got total support from his family and the rest of the community. The other men in the group could understand what he was feeling, and so and then what he would do is he would get back to nature. He would go for a walk. He would look at the trees. He would go maybe just sit and look at the sun and listen to the birds, and he would really start to de-escalate, as we call into today's society, to get back to this ventral vagal state of calm, relaxation, connection, safety. Our society today is not designed for that. We have to make a very big effort to do that because we are a society that is basing success on production. Mm-hmm. And production has no place for relaxation. It has no place for rest. If we are not producing, we are lazy. That is the attitude of society today. If we are not going full speed ahead, we're lazy. Yeah. Why aren't you up doing this? Why aren't you up doing that? It's society's pressure on us that has totally created an imbalance in our abilities to transition smoothly through this, and it requires more effort on our part to be aware of this automatic nervous system and how we can start to honor it and treat it and nurture it back so that we have the ability to more efficiently transcend through these states during the day. We don't want to turn everything off because these two nervous systems, Teen, are our safety mechanisms.
Right. We need them. So I'm gonna wrap up with just a final thought, something to kind of consider for myself as well as maybe our listeners. But interesting what you just said, Gara, about not really, we don't kind of give ourselves permission to just begin to de-escalate. And it's oftentimes I will come in on a Monday morning and someone from my staff will say, well, how was your weekend? And my response is typically, well, it was productive. And I have learned to measure whether it was a good or a bad weekend on my productivity. So I think I'm not saying that's in a good way. That's not in a good way because you're right. That is the society that we live in. And maybe we can pick up on that next month and talk about some ways that we can, take the time to begin to help ourselves to de-escalate. But we're going to have to end on that note. So you are listening to you are listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. Joe Rouse is waiting in the wings with Carol Palmer, and stay tuned for the Joe Show. We will be back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield,